Welcome back to the SBS podcast, where we have yet another legendary guest and one of the greatest three-point shooters in UCLA history, David Singleton, coming on the show to recap that Oregon win with us, talk about his legendary Final Four run a few years back, his favorite Mick Cronin quotes, and much, much more. And that's all coming up next on the SBS podcast. I'm going to start this episode with a Mount Rushmore, if that's okay. All right?
Go for it.
And it's going to be for the all-time UCLA three-point shooters. Okay, so give me Capono. I want the headband. Mike Roll, because you guys know I'm a Howland kid.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think I got to go Reggie Miller for the pioneership. I think that's fair. And number 4, give me David Singleton.
There we go.
Who just so happens to be joined with us on the show today. Mr. Singleton, welcome to the SBS pod.
Let's go.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me.
What'd you think of that intro?
That was pretty good. I wasn't expecting it.
I didn't want to tell you guys, but I was like, I'm going to open with a Mount Rushmore. David, how are you doing, man? What are you up to these days?
So I'm still playing basketball. I'm playing for the Atlanta Hawk G League team, for College Park Skyhawks. So playing against some familiar faces in the G League. I saw Mari Bailey. I've seen Abdem Bona. I know he played. I haven't played him yet, but I saw he played in the G League. So that's what I'm doing nowadays.
Did you get a chance to see him block the father and the son the other night?
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. You know, I texted him. I was like, "Hey, man, you're making history already." You know, like
that's awesome. Sweet. And you're an LA guy. Be honest. Did you grow up a Bruin fan, or what was like your college or pro fandom like growing up as a kid hooping in LA?
It was Bruins. It was always UCLA. It was always UCLA. My uncle actually went to UCLA. So yeah.
That's like dope.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that's the exact answer we got from Jonathan Franklin, all-time leading rusher at UCLA. So there's a lot of parallels going on here. And I almost forgot. What did you tell us prior to us going live? You also have a mother who happens to be a fan of UCLA sports and some other.
Yeah, so my mom's actually a fan of you guys, you know. so she said, hey, if there's any way you can record it, I don't know how to work my, you know, because she always help her with her YouTube and her Spotify. She says, give me a copy because she's a fan.
That's
you know?
awesome.
Yep.
She wants a recording.
Well, why don't we get her some merch as well? Because I meant to send this to you prior to us going live, David, but these are one of our best sellers lately. Big Mick Energy T-shirts, and we're running out of them. And given you are one of the prototype Mick Cronin players, we want to make sure we get you outfitted with one, as well as for your mom. So we'll get that hooked up in due time.
Yeah, I'll take an XL. Yeah,
there we go.
Actually, if I'm coming back for an All-Star break, so if you have that in LA, I'll come pick it up.
Before we move on, we want to talk Oregon. We want to talk the upcoming Michigan State game with you, Dave. But you mentioned that you're playing currently in Atlanta in the G League. Have you had the chance to meet 2 Chainz? I did see that he is a minority owner of the Skyhawks. Has there been a cross?
Some good research.
Yeah, how's this ball
That's
knowledge?
some ball knowledge.
I don't want to tell you boys before we went live.
That's nice. I'm impressed. Yeah.
Hasn't happened yet.
Yes, I ran into 2 Chainz. I introduced myself multiple times. This is my second year here, so I ran sometimes he rebounds for us at halftime. You know, like he's really cool.
So sick.
That's sick.
Yeah,
he's
real cool. He's really cool guy. Like he's very approachable.
Yeah.
Like and obviously excellent owner. You know.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, in just from like a bigger perspective, like I think a lot of basketball fans can be curious about this. Like, what's life like in the G League? Like, I know there's just like, guys come and go, guys get brought up. What's it been like 2 years now in the G League and your journey and making it in the pros?
I would definitely say it's a grind. You know, it's definitely not for the league, but I'll also tell you, like, it has helped me get better as a professional. I feel like I got taught a lot about being a pro. And being how to take care of your body, how it, is so important, like the time it takes. I think I really learned like the time it takes to be a professional. That time that I wasn't dedicating in high school, the time I wasn't dedicating in college, that I'm dedicating now. It's just, it's amazing how people is just literally, you're either on the court or you're doing something to help your body out.
Full time.
Yeah.
That's why.
There's no school now, right? That's your job. That's taking care of your body is exactly what you got to do. I did want to ask David, obviously being on the East Coast, right? I have seen you active on X, replying to some beat reporters. I think you posted a Kobe Johnson photo. So you're obviously following the team, but it must be hard sort of with the time difference and things like that. But, what's it like following the Bruins on the East Coast?
It's hard, but then again, they do have Big Ten games, so that always helps when they play away games. But I'm just excited for this team. I've played with them in the summer, like teaching them what it takes. Because there was a lot of transfers, so I had to tell them hey, Cronin doesn't like that. Cronin will like that. Hey, Cronin will,
Yeah.
I can't say it, but he'll don't do that. That big Mick energy.
Yeah,
big Mick energy.
I think if there's one program in the country where the current guys would appreciate a 5-year veteran coming in and saying, "Don't do this, don't do that," it's going to be UCLA under Mick Cronin.
Yeah.
So that's awesome to hear that they still bring you back and you're still an active part of the program.
Yeah, still just teaching them the rights and wrongs of. Cause one thing they didn't have that my team's has is that team chem. We played with each other. Yeah. Multiple years, and this team didn't do that. So I wanted to make sure, they really mesh well, and they're doing it. They found their stride. They've been winning games. They've been getting the job done. So I hope they make a deep run in the March Madness tournament.
I'm glad you mentioned that aspect of your time at UCLA with kind of being there with kind of that brotherhood over the course of your time there, because back in the day when I was there from 2015 to 2019, so we had overlap. And back in the day, I was running UCLA Barstool. That was the predecessor to the Secret Bruin Society. And I put up a post after you had some game where you probably had 4 or 5 threes. Great game. I put up a post being like, David Singleton is the Bruin that reminds me the most of one of the core guys from the Howland era. Because back in those days, it seemed like every year it was the same squad for 10 years.
Yeah.
You just kind of had those core guys. And I feel like we kind of had that with you and a number of guys later on in your time at UCLA when you had Tiger, Jules, Jaime. So I don't know if we're ever really going to get to see that kind of era anymore with just the
college basketball.
Yeah, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
Because that was one of my favorite parts about your guys' era was just you had that unit for so long.
Yeah.
Well, the rules have changed. The transfer portal rule changed, and then NIL was not a thing for 4 of those 5 years of me being in college, So it's just times have changed, it works very differently now.
You would have had to get some big bucks.
Oh, yeah. To go back to college now, it would be people, I see, we actually did, the Skyhawks actually did a community service event, and we did for little kids. And some kids said, but I want to play basketball. A lot of kids said, I just want to go to college. I just want to play basketball. Yeah. But they're, at college, I'm used to hearing, I want to go to the NBA. I want to go to NFL. They're like, no, I want to play football at Georgia Tech. I want to play, that's what they're saying now. Yeah. It's crazy.
Did you get the chance to watch the Oregon game last, what was that, Thursday? Yeah.
No, so I tried to stay up, but, it was just too late over here. And then I had an early morning. But I have all the UCLA app and ESPN alerts and everything. So I woke up and I posted the duck hunt on Twitter. Yep. I like to be,
He's active,
I'm trying to be more active on Twitter. That's one place I am going to be more active on is Twitter. So if fans want to any Q&As or anything, let them know. Hey,
throw David a follow.
Add him on Twitter.
See, this is what is needed with the fabric of UCLA sports culture. Our alumni that engage like this, because I feel like there's so many guys that you just wish where are they now? What are they up to? If there's one thing I appreciate as a diehard fan, it's a guy that sticks around with, even if it's just a tweet. I remember Lonzo tweeted a bear and a blue heart once, and people freaked out. So having people that are gonna hop on the SBS pod, that's a fucking treat, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, Oregon game. I know that the listeners want to. I hope they want to hear our thoughts on it because I'm certainly ready to give them. I think we sort of timed this perfectly with David because I feel like it'd almost be kind of awkward. Imagine having a guest on and you recapping a crushing loss. Just
or a horrible 3-point shooting performance.
Yeah. Exactly. But fortunately, the Bruins absolutely crushed Oregon 78-53 last Thursday night at Pauley Pavilion. This was a sweep of the Ducks. And I didn't realize this is now 6 of the last 8 that UCLA has bested Oregon. And when you consider the way Mick's time in Westwood started, That's huge because, David, I'm sure you remember, Dana Altman was kind of Mick's
Yeah.
kryptonite early on. And I feel like there was like a back-to-back sweep. We say this basically every episode, but I'm going to say it again. Biggest win of the year?
You know, that was a ranked win, and that was a pretty dominant, showing. So it was good to see that was kind of the basketball that Mick Cronin wants to instill into not only this team but into UCLA as a program. I think that's why it was such a huge win, because he says it all the time. Like I remember we'll win like a small little title in the regular season or something, and he says something like, you can take that and you can throw it away or do something crazy because I came here to hang a banner.
Yeah.
And that's the standard.
Yeah.
That's the standard for UCLA, and that's the reality.
We have this kind of slated to ask later on, but now that you just said that, I figured, do you have like a favorite Cronin quote or Cronin moment in the locker room that like the fans might not know of, that would like anything come to mind?
His one of his go-tos is like, "I got news for you, buddy." Like when he says, like he'll be yelling at you, and then one time he told me, because I was one practice I wasn't going as hard, I was just tired, and then he said, you want to be a shooter? Like, I got news for you. You gotta run around and shoot. Like, you can't. People are not gonna just let you shoot anymore. And that's the thing I love about Cronin. I love him. He one of my favorite coaches. If not a favorite to ever coach. He tells you the truth. Straight up, how you get better, what you can do. If you he tells you straight and he's honest. And that's why I love that guy to death.
So it's great hearing that from the mouth of an actual player, because I'm sure you're familiar with some of the clips that have circulated of Mick this year in the press conferences talking about the team and being, pretty tough on him.
Yeah.
How is that? I mean, I'm assuming it's pretty similar in practices where he's going to tell you as it is and he's not going to sugarcoat anything. Is it just a trust that he builds up over the course of your time in UCLA that makes players receptive to that? Because on the outside looking in, I feel like a lot of fans are like, oh, he's going to lose the locker room, or there's no way that college athletes are going to put up with, someone being that tough verbally. What makes the locker room under Mick Cronin as kind of as formidable as it is? Because every single time he's done that, the Bruins have responded with a streak of wins, and you were a part of two of them.
So I feel like, when he does that, we know at the end of the day that he wants the best for us. Mm-hmm. So I'm not it became I used to be scared of Cronin. When he first came, I'm this guy's a lunatic, But then we started buying in more and more and started Final Four, then Sweet 16 after and it's okay, we listen to him, we get the job done. No matter what, we're gonna see success. And that's what he wants for us, and we know that.
Yeah.
So when when he calls us out, it's because if he's calling you out, you're probably doing something wrong.
Yeah.
He's telling the truth.
Yeah.
Then so you have to just take accountability for it, and you got to change your ways and get the job done.
I mean, it's almost like Cronin he's got a recipe that he knows he wants to follow exactly.
It's formulaic.
Yeah, it's a formula that he just somehow magically cooks up, and it's I feel like he just has the prototypical players that he wants on his team, and if you're not going to buy in, he's sort of going to be done with you. And we sort of saw that last year.
And it's not Mick's not being an asshole. You just are being soft and delusional, and you got to fix it. And then look what happened. Called him out, and now we won.
There's a lot of people that I don't, I feel shouldn't speak on basketball. I feel like Mick Cronin actually knows what he's talking about. So if he's saying something, he's probably right.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be coming together again. I really do mean it this time, and where I think that this win over Oregon is the biggest of the season, because you have to call this the most complete win
100%.
of UCLA season so far. My personal opinion on this game is that I think it kind of proved, and this might have been proved 2 games ago, this Mara Madness or Mara Mania, which Kyle did not make up, and Men of Westwood coined themselves. This little Mara surge, it's not going anywhere. This is not a lightning in a bottle situation. This is not a little insanity run or anything like that. I truly believe UCLA has its hands on a borderline elite big man. And now with the guard play we're seeing out of DA, passing ability out of guys like Kobe. I think that this really can now turn into something that's sustainable, and that you look at the next 9 weeks, dude, I think UCLA might just be getting started because Dylan Andrews now seems to be completely back to his ceiling, or not ceiling, but where he has been in past seasons that we know that he can be. And just these guards are now learning not just to give Mara the ball more, but where on the court, like where he's able to score and when to pass to him.
Yeah.
So give these guards now some experience with running the offense with him and feeding him. I think it's only going to get better as the season goes on because we now have 4 consistent games of Mara completely changing the pace and just the productivity of the offense.
Well, they're starting to gel. And David, I want to ask you this, right? I mean, you take a team, we talked about, you, Tiger, Jaime, Jules, that team sort of almost grew up together at UCLA. You take a team like the Bruins this year who just have guys from all over the country that just came and are now playing for the first year. It's going to take a while to gel, correct, as a basketball unit and as a team, and I feel like we're starting to see that finally.
I mean, so the team obviously they didn't grow up together, but they are finding their chemistry. I think everyone's finding their role, and then people are they're stepping up. Dylan Andrews is stepping up. Adai's finally figuring it out. Ide's just playing unbelievable. And Tyler's, I already knew in the summer he was doing moves against me. There's nothing I can do. I was like, oh yeah, he's a bucket, Yeah. So I feel like they're just finding the role and they're really buying into to what Cronin is trying to say to them. Because when there's a reason why players come and go in programs, and there's a reason why programs win year after year after year, even though players come and go.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. Keon, you brought up a good point on I think it was the last episode, where the patience and the trust is now there. And a frustrating part of the first half or so of the season was just this kind of Cronin-esque, like seemingly emotional substitutions or lineup changes. When a guy makes a mistake, he gets pulled. And we saw that happen with Mara early in the season. Now, and you saw it against Oregon, there were a few lapses on defense, and he stayed in. And I think that's what gets me excited about it now, is because you're going to see some sustained minutes with, I think, a lineup or at least a rotation in the front court that is really starting to come together. And gets me fucking fired up, man. Official attendance for Oregon. Okay. 9,288. 70% capacity. All right. David, I want to kind of channel this towards you because I care a lot about fans showing up, and when they do show up, to be engaged and loud. And we talk about it here a lot, and I bitch and complain and yada, yada, yada. Does that bother you guys? Like, do you guys care that much as a team? Like, if you go up for like a relatively big game and it's not sold out, or the fans aren't quite as loud as you hear on the road, you spent 5 years in Westwood. Did that ever kind of frustrate you guys? Because it frustrates the hell out of me.
So here's the thing, like when we kind of know, like, if it's like winter break, like, or like, sure. Sure. But if it's like a big game, like, I wouldn't get frustrated, but I was just like wonder, like, well, why aren't people coming out like every game? Like, cause I'm looking at other, like, for example, we went to Maryland, sold out, and like I'm looking like, oh my god, and now mind you, like we smacked them, like it was bad quick.
Destroyed them.
It was a whiteout, I think, and you guys smacked their ass.
I think you guys were up at 30 at half.
Like, UCLA could really, I just really see the potential of Pauley Pavilion being packed. Because I remember playing against Villanova, and it was sold. That was the game. It was sold out with a whiteout. I'm like, this could literally be every game. We just make it a culture.
Yeah.
Like, if the fans just made it a culture to go to the games and like make yourself a factor. I wish the fans would understand how much of a factor they really are.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. Like, it's hard to play. Like, those away games in Oregon and Utah, it's hard. Yeah. Like, it makes a difference.
I might clip this. I feel like the fans got to hear this.
Hear that.
You got to hear it from a player, because that's what we say, man. It's like, well, when you guys don't make noise on defense, or you don't want to stand up, it's not just like, I'm not asking when I'm telling people to stand up. Yeah. It's not like humor me. It's like it helps the team.
Yeah. And it's fun.
You paid money to A, have fun, B, see your team win. Why would you not?
Yeah.
I don't get it. But, dude, you bring up the Villanova game. It's unfortunately, you were kind of a part of a bygone era now, because it's not helping matters that there's no more early season out of conference marquee matchups like that anymore, because all these huge games that we've talked about in the past are now at neutral sites because of this NIL thing, which is a shame.
Yeah, that was a great game, and I think there was that the same year that you guys had Arizona. I think it was your senior night, where you guys, I think you went off for like 4 or 5 threes. Correct me if I'm wrong. Had like 17 or 19 points in that game. But those atmospheres are the ones that I expect tomorrow night. I expect against, when Wisconsin comes to town, things of that nature.
Well, they're also the environments that make fans.
Yeah.
Like if you're a student, that's at Pauley Pavilion, and that's a game that you just go to. You're like, okay, I want it to be like this every game, and I want to keep doing this and continue to go. But when you put it at even just Intuit Dome or put it in Phoenix, then like you rob the students of that experience, and that's a shame. But tomorrow night, we haven't done attendance predictions in a very long time. I don't think we have a Tuesday night sellout in us. I'm going to go with 11,267.
That's still a lot.
If that hits, then
I'll give you even plus
You
minus.
got to
like
go to
100.
Vegas if that exact number hits.
okay. So you guys are saying you're gonna fade me on 11,267. You're gonna say less.
I'd say like no, I wouldn't fade you. My prediction's like 10,500.
Well, here's the issue, and I texted you guys this earlier. It's 7 p.m. Lakers Clippers. Luka's potential
a good
first
point.
game at Intuit Dome.
Dave, what are your thoughts on the Luka situation, my man? How do we not bring that up?
Hey, I saw that trade. I mean, I'm like, there's like, because I'm a big Laker fan. Like, we're like my family. Like, you talk about like teams. Like, it's UCLA, Lakers, like Rams. Like, that's us. And I'm looking like, what? Like, I didn't think they were gonna trade AD for him. Like,
Yeah.
that, like I'm thinking like AD's like we got that, like he's off trade negotiations, like, and the fact that we got Luka like is crazy. Like it's a blockbuster. Like,
Yeah. So I can't tell. Are you pro this trade or are you against this trade?
Yeah. What? You're a Laker fan, so are you up or down on this?
So like we have to wait. Like as a fan, like I have to wait. As a basketball player, I'm like, who is gonna play? Like, I'm wondering like who's gonna step up at center. Like I know they have guys. I know they signed like Trey Jameson like a 2-way. So like, I'm just wondering. I'm just curious to see. I'm not saying they don't have a big. I'm saying I'm curious to see who is gonna be that big.
Yeah.
Because having Luka and LeBron, we see what LeBron does with great point guards and guards, like with Kyrie, with Dwayne Wade. Like we've seen that before, so I'm curious.
Dude, you can now kind of have a fun discussion on the Mount Rushmore of LeBron's teammates.
Yeah,
that's a debate worth having because you can only pick 4, and he now has like 8 Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
So I think Luka might already be there.
As a teammate or just like he hasn't done anything
question.
as a LeBron teammate.
I feel like we have to see what Luka does first.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess, he's also, dude, he's 25 years old.
He's younger than me. He's younger than all of us, I think.
Yeah.
How weird is that?
I feel like not he could be a Mount Rushmore of players he played that's been with LeBron.
Yeah.
But players that teammates LeBron, we have to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you got to put D Wade up there. You have to put Kyrie up there. That's already 2 down.
You got to put Bronny up
Whoa,
there.
Whoa. Okay. That was funny. But let's pump the brakes because this is a UCLA podcast, and Kevin Love is absolutely, without a doubt, on the Mount Rushmore of LeBron teammates. Yeah. And I actually kind of mean that because I guess that'd be kind of tough. So I'm going to go Wade. I'm going to go Kyrie. I'm going to go Love.
AD.
And then you got to go AD, huh?
Got to go AD.
They won a title.
Yeah.
Who am I missing? Bosch. I'm putting KD over. I'm sorry. I'm putting Kevin Love over Bosch.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Singleton, you know ball. Is that fair? I thought you were a
Miami. I feel like it's close. I feel like I want to say K Love because he's a Bruin.
Yeah.
I love him, but I grew up on that 2012, 2013. Yeah. I watched that. That's what I was like. Oh my gosh! Like this guy is really unstoppable.
He's a truther. He's a truther.
You know what's actually an impossible debate or like not a debate, but an impossible discussion to have because we've been talking doing a Mount Rushmore of 21st century UCLA basketball players. I just don't think it's possible. Like you will be snubbing at least 3 guys so hard.
And there's, I think, especially with college basketball, there's so much personal. Like when we went to college, we had the memories with those
ties.
you know.
Yeah. And David, now that we've established it's impossible and you can't not snub people, I'm going to ask you, what is your Mount Rushmore of UCLA basketball players of the 21st century? Go for it.
21st. Okay, so I have to be biased. I have to say Jaime Jaquez.
Okay.
I have to because I've watched him grow as a player. Like I played with him. Like I'm literally setting screens for this guy. So like, and to watch him, evolve as a player, play against him in high school, then evolve as a player, and then watch him get drafted. Like it was. I have to just say that.
Yeah.
Number 2. And this is just my personal. I'm not going through UCLA stat books. But UCLA Lonzo Ball.
Yes.
I'm putting him up. Putting him up.
So
That
far,
season
was special.
So far, you're like
I would
2 for
totally
2.
agree. Yeah.
Those are 2, I think, shoe-ins. Yeah.
So my third, I'm going with Russell Westbrook.
Okay.
Like
That's a good one.
Ross had a hot debate on this one.
Ross
didn't include him in his top 10.
It was absurd, but yeah.
David, what do you think about that?
I mean, I feel like as a Bruin, like I get it because it's like, but he did, 2008. Like he did, he was close. He did do what we did,
But look, if Russell's NBA career never happened, and that's a big hypothetical, I think you guys would resonate more, especially with the 10 names that I had.
We just talked careers.
I need one more outside of me. I'm going with Zach LaVine.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good one too.
See, this is how there's an art to doing these types of lists. If you just list like if you would have said Kevin Love, I'd be like, oh, okay, next segment. But that's how you start.
I was even going to ask. He
just got traded.
Yeah. Kevin Love
he's going
is
to
on the Kings now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was even going to ask David, if you were to make a starting 5 UCLA with yourself included, would that 4 be the same 4, or if you're filling out a lineup, who would you include?
Oh, well, if I'm filling out a lineup, I gotta. If I'm a guard in there, I gotta put a big.
Yeah.
So like I'm putting Kareem like all time.
Yeah.
Like
No questions asked.
Nobody's going to argue.
So I put so point guard, I'm going with Lonzo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Lonzo at the 1, me at the 2. I'm going with Jaime at the 3. And rest in peace. I'm going with Bill at the 4, Kareem at the 5.
Yep.
Wow, that would be a sick graphic if I could make that. I'll put like if you give me the green light to post is putting David Singleton's top 5 all time UCLA starting 5. That'd be a pretty.
That team would win a lot of games.
That would win.
Championships.
That wouldn't lose
games.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David, I wanted to ask, obviously, just the nature, I don't know, of you as a UCLA player and how you evolved, and just, you can't say David Singleton without thinking 3-ball, right? Just have you always, throughout your entire, career growing up playing basketball, is that something that developed in high school? Is that something developed when you got to UCLA? Because, my God, man, every time you shot the ball, I thought it was hitting nylon and going to be 3 points. So I just want to hear you talk about that, sort of the art of learning the 3-ball.
So my dad that was my dad's emphasis since like growing up. He's saying, you're always in the game if you can shoot. He thought of the game as he was kind of ahead of his time, like back in like 07, 08. He's saying like, we're going to come to a point where threes are going to be worth more than attempting mid-range twos. And like, that's exactly what happened. So he always just, we always practice threes more than anything. So it was always like that from high school all the way up to college. Part of the reason I went to UCLA so he can come in the gym and, and we can work out together and still work on that, Yeah. And that's what really happened my 5th year. Like I really locked in with him. We got together, we started watching film, and I locked in with my dad, and I locked in with a trainer, Dashletics. That he trains like Kevin Durant and all of them. I was really working with those 2 on my 5th year, and they really elevated my game to like contribute to that kind of like record breaking kind of deal.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about record breaking. I think we talked earlier on the podcast about those records, but I think when you talk three ball, I mean, is there anyone better in UCLA history to shoot the three ball than David Singleton?
Than Dave? I mean, I opened up with my Mount Rushmore for a very good reason, because I think that's a doable, fun debate of the Mount Rushmore there. I mean, because it's a newer part of the game.
Yeah,
where,
that's true.
when you talk about some of UCLA's greats, a lot of them were before the 3-point line.
Yeah.
So you can almost take a group of Bruin players and really kind of look at it and be like, who are the top four? I'm putting David Singleton every single time.
What if you would put a pre and post 3-point line lineups?
That'd be
It'd just be
hard to think about.
completely different teams and completely different styles.
I mean, he does have a point.
Yeah.
Well, while we're on the note of throwing questions your way, Dave, we've got a few quick hitters lined up just for the sake of, let's get some good content out of you, buddy. Favorite teammate
Let's do it.
to hang out with at UCLA?
Favorite teammate? I gotta go with Russell Stone. Like, you guys interviewed him before. Yeah, like he actually went to my G League game in Long Island. Like he drove like 3 hours just to see me play. Like he's one of my best friends. Like there's a lot of friends I still talk to, like still on the team, and they're like, I still talk to Tiger, I still talk to Jaime, I still talk to Jules. Like we pretty much talk to each other, Adem, even Kenny a lot. But Russell is probably like my best friend, probably like my twin, my best friend.
So Russell had almost as many good things to say about you, aside from one thing, in that he could kick your ass in 2K, I think it was.
And Super Smash Bros.
And Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, he did say that he was superior to you.
No, like 2K he got, but Super Smash, like I caught up to him. It was to a point where it was like he was undisputed number 2 on the team, but I caught up to him.
He made a very pointed effort that we bring that up to you. So sorry to interrupt. That was a very thoughtful thing you had to say about it, but I had to lace it in.
We might need to do a SBS stream,
Super Smash Bros.
Super
tournament.
Smash Bros. Stream with David and Russ.
That'd be sweet.
I mean, we can't have you on and not ask about the run in 2021 to the Final Four, from the first four to the Final Four. Yeah. Favorite memory from that run, or I guess we'll just talk about that briefly.
Well, favorite memory has to be the Alabama game. I was first of all, I was watching, Johnny Juzang, like just greatness, taking over the tournament, and he fouled out, and they called my number, and I was ready. That was just probably one of the more memorable moments of that Final Four run. But just overall, I feel like just making it from just barely making it, like literally the surface to all the way, it was an amazing feeling. It was probably literally like once in a lifetime, know. Well, so obviously some people have multiple rings, been to a tournament multiple times, but that experience with that group felt probably was once in a lifetime.
Yeah, and I wanted to just piggyback off that. I mean, you sort of mentioned barely making it in. You guys had sort of stumbled down the stretch there of that season. So how does it go from that to in March, obviously everything just seeming to click, guys, hitting shots, playing defense? Was there like a turning point there? Was there a practice or something that, turned the corner?
Well, it's actually funny because Joey Hauser is on my College Park team. Mm-hmm. He was on that team. We talk about it. We were talking about, it's like, we were up 20 in the first half, and they just came out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
And that first half, that, Cronin called us out. That's what happened. At halftime. He was like, Cronin and Palmer were like, I can't even say the words. I don't want to even say the language they speak, but they were speaking. But they called us out, and we locked in. Like, from that point on, from that second half and on, we were like, no, we're not gonna, we're not gonna just get caught that, and we got, we're gonna let the whole school down. One thing that me and Cronin see eye to eye on, and I will always, he really knows what it means to like be a head coach for the UCLA Brewers. Like, it really means something. And that's why I wanted to explain. That's why I'm playing with the team now, and explain to him now, like, what it means to wear those 4 letters, man. Like, it means a lot more than people think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he gave us one of those talks. He called us out in halftime, and then we ended up winning a few games in a row, just like how this team is doing.
And that's our opponent tomorrow night, the Michigan State Spartans.
I was going to ask you if you and Joey Hauser have any wagers on for the tomorrow night. Maybe
we said we'll come up with some. We literally said today we'll come up with something.
Hey, if the Bruins win tomorrow, he's got to wear the Big Mick Energy shirt that we send you.
That's a great idea. Oh my god,
that was a great one.
You know what was the best part about that run 2021 was, like, I feel like every win from that run, every real UCLA fan can tell you like where they were for, like, not even just the games, but like specific shots. Like, it's got to be an awesome feeling in knowing that, like, you guys with that run, like, truly made some of, like, the deepest, most unbreakable memories for UCLA sports fans. And, like, you know, who knows the next time, hopefully sooner than later, but you don't come across runs like that all too often. So, like,
the Michigan win that night was my favorite night in all of college. I mean, I was out all night. I was having a blast, and I mean, without you guys doing that, I don't have that experience.
Yeah. How about this? Favorite away Pac-12 arena to play in?
You know, it's Arizona. It really is Arizona.
Why is
that? Because they are the loudest fans in probably Pac-12 they're the loudest I've ever been in. And they get loud often. Like, it's not like they just like, like something good happens, then they get loud. Like, their point guard could be like, I remember Kirk Priesta just bringing the ball down, and the whole they were yelling like he just made like a half-court shot. Like, like UCLA is like, it really should. At one point, it was like a dual sports. Like, it was a dual sports school. Like, it was one of those schools like Ohio State, like, you know, like even Michigan, like one of those schools like basketball and football, like, you know, like powerhouses. Like, and it used to be like an experience to, like, if you're a UCLA student, you're going to the basketball game. Like, like you look at Duke, like those kids at Duke know, like, when I go to Duke University and I'm going to the basketball game.
Yeah.
Like, that's the culture we need at UCLA. Like,
there needs to be some form of indoctrination. I hate to use the word indoctrination, but it needs to be from the second they get to campus. There's some form of brainwashing with, like, orientation.
You will go to the basketball.
No, literally. We need to, like, hire is it a hypnotist?
Yeah.
Or like a voodoo magic magician, something to, like, reset the minds of these kids, because I'm just so afraid that the damage is so far done. You know what I think is actually what I don't want to say killed, because the fans are still there. The games can be fun. The Oregon game was fun. Tomorrow night's going to be fun. But I think what the death blow was to the UCLA student culture. David, did you ever venture down into, I know you basketball guys, you had your own, you know, world, and you guys were focused on basketball, but you were there for 5 years. Did you ever venture down into the Westwood Village and step foot inside of Seppi's?
Seppi's, no.
Have you ever heard of Seppi's?
I've never even heard of Seppi's. When you hit it, you already said it. Like, we're in our own world. Like, we don't.
Seppi's was like, if I could pick like my dream living room, it would be that bar. It was just like it was probably the size of about this garage that all three of us are sitting in right now, and there was not one part of the wall that was not covered in like framed UCLA sports memorabilia from the 60s all the way up through present day, and that's where all of the hardcore UCLA students, and that was a small percentage even when I went there. I graduated in 2019. That's where they would all meet and congregate to watch UCLA sporting events. And then my senior year, after 50 years of business in Westwood, it closed down. And that to me was like, that's a big loss, because those are things that you need when your student enthusiasm is hanging on by a thread. But rest in peace, Seppi's.
And then we got Rocco's.
It's still there. Rocco's still kicking.
Yeah, still kicking.
So UCLA, big game tomorrow night when this airs. It's going to be tonight. Another game, another huge game at Pauley Pavilion, where the Bruins are taking on Big Ten opponent, Michigan State Spartans.
Number 9.
Number 9. That is, I thought they'd be like 15 or 16 after that loss to USC, but we all know that some teams get treated differently, because UCLA did not receive how many votes?
26 votes, I think.
Okay,
that's less than Oregon, who got
less votes than Oregon and
lost 2 games.
David, do you guys pay attention at all to AP rankings? Like, when you're on the team, like, do you guys allow yourself to like look at that or have it affect you, or do you tune it out? Because I feel like it'd be difficult if you guys feel like you're getting disrespected with AP votes or like a certain ranking or dropping too much or not rising enough. Do you guys ever pay attention to that stuff when you're on the team?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, we have to. I pay attention close to March, because that's when it really matters. Like it's this they're ranking for the seeding.
Yeah.
So I pay attention like when like the way too early rankings, and then rankings like in November. Like what is that what is that going to tell you? But like as we get closer and closer to March, that's when you start like, okay, like how is this going to play out? So I feel like UCLA. I thought they were going to be ranked like at least like 25.
Dude,
like at
yeah.
least, like
I could.
But then
I was gonna say I could live with them not being ranked if like Oregon at least was maybe dropped from the rankings, or Michigan State had a bigger drop. But like these teams lose these terrible losses, and then nothing happens to them, and UCLA can't crack the top 25. But like you said, ultimately it means nothing. But individual thoughts on tomorrow night. What are we thinking for this matchup? We'll start with you, Kyle. I always start with you because I feel like you always got a lot to say.
I just love UCLA basketball, man. Tomorrow's a big game. Well, obviously for UCLA, but Tom Izzo is currently at 352 Big Ten wins. One more, and he ties Bob Knight's record inside the Big Ten. So definitely don't want him to do that on our home court. People were saying if they beat USC, he could have done it, obviously, against UCLA on Tuesday night. The crazy thing is, just like the Michigan game we saw, Michigan State fans traveled. I don't know if you guys caught any of the USC game.
I heard it. I heard it when they scored.
Oh, man. It sounded like a Michigan State home game in the Galen Center at times. So I'm sure most of those people stuck around and are going to be there tomorrow night. But it'll be interesting to see deep on deep. Corinne's talked about this team, being so deep, the UCLA team he's got. Michigan State plays 10 guys who average at least 15 minutes a game or more, which I don't think there's any other team in the country that can, back those. I think I told you, Keon, earlier today, they have a record, I think it's 13 games now, where at least 10-plus players have made a field goal. And the next highest team is at 6, and it's Auburn.
Damn.
So, they got a deep bench. UCLA's got a deep bench. It'll be interesting to see. I feel like UCLA has done a good job of wearing teams out.
Yeah.
Throughout the season, and you see sometimes a big second half, obviously versus Oregon, things like that. So it'll be interesting to see, second half tomorrow night, who's got the legs. Obviously, we haven't played since, when did we last play? Last Thursday. They played Saturday against SC in a pretty grueling game. So I don't know if that, has any effect, but biggest game of the season. That's for damn sure.
David, does the prep change from a player's perspective when you go and you kind of beat an opponent the way they did against Oregon, and you're on like a 5-game high, and you know a team is coming in with like almost a record on the line? Does it change, or is it like what we're doing is working, we're going to stick to the formula?
What you're doing is working. So the only prep you should really have on terms of like scheduling opponents is like you have to be ready to beat your best opponent. Mm-hmm. If you look on your schedule, you're ready to beat your best opponent, and you take that approach night in and night out. That's how you stack, build habits and stack wins, and eventually cracking that AP, top 25.
Yeah.
So I feel like just locking in, just whatever you're doing is working, knowing your role, being consistent and able to sustain, and not only sustain if they're able, being able to peak at a time like this where there's, it's almost March, that would be, that's the ideal plan.
David, I do have one more question for you, because I've always wondered about this scheduling, right? Like, in the Pac-12, it was usually Thursday, Saturday, or like a Thursday, Sunday type thing. In the Big Ten, they last played on Thursday. They don't play again until Tuesday. What does that time look like in that time off? Obviously, fans don't get to, go to practice and see what things are doing. But like, you think they took a day off Friday, day off Saturday, and sort of got back at it, or what's that sort of schedule look like?
So really the schedule, so if we play a game Thursday, or we usually go back that night, and then you see your treatment guy the next day, usually an off day, usually catch up on like everything that you can't do during the week, like homework or, groceries, whatever. And then you might go in the gym and just do little spot shots and everything like that. And then you're right back at it for a practice on the next day. It's really it's just fast turnaround. You have to. That's one of the things that that I've learned as now being a professional is like the time. Your off days aren't really off. You're just off the court.
Yeah.
Where were you grocery shopping back at UCLA? I'm curious.
I was a big Ralph's guy at the moment, but then I went and I learned about traders.
Yeah. I was about to say, wow, are you sure NIL wasn't a thing back then? Because I couldn't afford Ralph's back in the day, man. I was a TJ's guy from freshman to senior year.
I guess that's a good one to end on.
Yeah.
Favorite on-campus dining hall?
I didn't do on-campus dining hall. Sorry, guys.
Well, let's take it up a notch. What was your favorite eating establishment that was in Westwood? Anything?
In Westwood, it was like In-N-Out. Like that's like I can't really say In-N-Out because like it is In-N-Out, but like other than In-N-Out, like 'cause I grew up in LA, it was definitely like Hangry Moons. I loved it,
dude.
Hangry Moons. But then it was Hangry Moons. But then I think my fourth year, Hibachi Poppy came.
I'm a big Hibachi Poppy guy.
This is Ross. Ross was gone by then.
Yeah,
dude. You guys never really you guys do a good job with not making me feel old on this show. All three of you guys just cornered me right there with whatever the fuck. What Poppy? What?
It's next to Diddy Reese.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's next to Diddy Reese called Hibachi Poppy, and they just do a hibachi spot. But it was my favorite. Like that was my favorite thing to go to my fourth and fifth year. Mm-hmm. Like I will always like. Because I moved right next to there, so I was just take my walks, go there for dinner, pick up my food, walk back, and then go and eat, and then go to the gym.
You know who I saw?
Hibachi Poppy.
I saw your teammate Jalen Clark.
Jalen Clark, I've seen a Hibachi Poppy too, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, no, me and Jalen Clark, like we have similar taste buds.
There we go.
You guys have a Hibachi stamp card.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hangry Moons was such a deep cut. Hearing that name just makes me feel 30 pounds heavier like I was back in the time.
Great. Hey, I don't think you were even here, but like when NIL came about, bro, like Tiger got a Fat Sal's collab.
We saw that. That was cool.
I was around for the Fat Tiger. I don't remember what was on. I never ordered it. I was a Fat Texas guy.
Yeah. It was like chicken tenders, provolone. I was like, and we had some right after practice. I'm like, awesome. I asked our dietitian like, how bad is this sandwich for us? She's like, I'll never order this for you again.
David, how about this? We'll pull like a Dave Portnoy, and when if you make it to a home game this year, let us know. We'll give you the shirt, and we'll do like a pizza review, but instead we'll do the Fat Tiger, and we'll let the fans know if it's worth the trip or not.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds good.
Hell yeah, man. Well, David, this was great. This was an absolute blast, man, and thanks again for coming on. I know the SBS Nation is going to be greatly appreciative that you're still giving Bruin fans content, coming on the show and talking with us. We greatly appreciate it, and hopefully we get you on maybe next basketball season, and the Bruins will still be grooving, hopefully with a similar lineup because things are going well.
Yeah. 100%.
Hopefully they'll keep doing what they're doing for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, Dave. Thanks a lot, man.
Take care, man.
All right. Thank you.
Go Bruins.